program. And I mentor women to run from couch to 5K, and I'm hugely passionate about that. I am also the community empowerment manager for the Collective of Extraordinary Women, and I am hugely passionate about that too. With confidence, I guess, for me, I think it's not a blanket term. That's what I'm really looking. I'm guessing this will come up today. Unpicking it more. It's not a blanket term. Something that's been brought up about me a lot is when I've said before to people that I have had times where I've suffered with anxiety, and people say, "Wow, I never would have thought that. You come across as so confident." And so I'm really looking forward to unpicking that today. What people think of you and how it's not just black and white, but so many grey areas. So I'm Rayana in Red, and I'm done speaking.
Yeah, that's a brilliant share, Rayana. And we've all had a confidence journey, or we are all having one, right? Flash your mics if you are on a confidence journey. Yeah, everybody. Everybody. And for those of you who are watching on LinkedIn, thank you for reminding me to turn on my mic. I moved on my mic earlier on, so I must have clicked the mute button. So thank you for that. And just be aware that if you're sharing, Rayana is our in-house community empowerment manager, so she knows the deal. But if you're sharing on audio, be aware that it is being recorded on other platforms as well. So just bear that in mind as you are sharing. Right, Hayley, coming to you, another awesome member of the Collective of Extraordinary Women. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you hoping to take away on confidence today?
Hello everybody, my name's Hayley Burt, and I am the founder and owner of Orange Land, which is a branding and design agency. And I've also got a family blog called Family Unfiltered, where I just basically share my hilarious antics of parent life. But yeah, confidence is an interesting one, because I'm always someone that's always said, I'm really confident. I've used to be an entertainer, getting on stage, standing, talking on the mic. All of that doesn't scare me at all, which for some people is like horrific. But then I guess I've got my own confidence when it comes to, my skills in my business, or, like this. I think everyone's got issues with confidence, and it's not always, like Rhiannon said, about how you maybe come across on the outside. So I'm just looking forward to hearing people share some stories.
Yeah, brilliant. It's lovely to have you here and to hear your voice, have you here and hear your voice, Hayley. And what you said about Family Unfiltered, those hilarious stories, you could either laugh or you could cry, right? Being a parent, it's no laughing matter except when it is. And so we take it all with a pinch of salt. And I love how you share your story. So please do check out Hayley, have a look at what she's doing. We've also got the awesome Sarah with us. Absolutely brilliant. Are you back in the UK, Sarah?
I am back in the UK, yes. I got back yesterday morning. So
fantastic.
Still a little bit jet lagged, getting used to the time difference. But
yeah.
On form.
Brilliant, as you always are. So Sarah, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, what you do, what you're looking to take away with regards to confidence. I know you've heard me speak about this a lot, but let me just say to the whole stage, it doesn't matter how many times you hear this. Every time you hear this stuff, it hits slightly differently, and it comes at a time when you need it. So just be aware to keep your ears open and to take in that information again, because if there's something I've learned about confidence, it's that it doesn't happen overnight. So Sarah, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, and I'm so glad that you're back safe from Colorado in the UK.
Hi, yes, I'm Sarah, and I'm a transformation specialist, but I seem to be evolving into almost an anti-golden guru, where I think we've become so fixed on having goals and targets and aims, and I think sometimes we need to kind of take a step away from goals and actually focus on achievements, if you like, rather than having all these targets that add pressure. So that will evolve over the next few weeks, I'm sure. But for me, confidence is a really strange thing, because I think people either fall into, it's a very black and white thing, in that I'm confident, I'm not confident, whereas actually you can be really confident in one area of your life and not so much in another. And I think it's important to take that step back and look at the bigger pictures and almost think, okay, why am I confident in that area? What is it that makes me confident? And how can I take that kind of awareness and knowledge and apply it to the areas that I'm less confident in? So really today I'm looking for more ways to boost my confidence in areas that I'm not as strong,
Mm-hmm.
and keep the areas that I am confident in going.
Yeah, absolutely
So,
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And all three of you, Rayanna, Hayley and Sarah, have all spoken about confidence in certain areas. And I'm going to speak to the science of that as we go through today's session. As most of you know, this session runs on 1 hour tight. We like to keep our time because we know how busy everybody is. And so we like to make sure that we answer the questions you've got. If you've got questions and you don't feel that you do have the confidence to ask them on stage, please do just send a message to myself or Rayanna, and we will do our very best to answer those questions. There will be time for that at the end. Brilliant. Addie, we've got the wonderful Addie, a fantastic supporter of the community. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you looking to learn?
Okay, well, I am Addie, and I am a pastor, a mentor, a coach, and I just love to encourage people to achieve and realize their dreams. Currently, I'm working on the development of my training academy and coaching business, and I am looking forward to hearing about everybody's journey to confidence. And I want to hear it because I want to be able to reinforce those things that I believe about confidence, and to just continue the journey myself with perhaps some tips that may come out of our conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me.
Brilliant. Brilliant, Addie. Thank you. Sorry to cut you off there. I didn't mean to. Addie is just such a wonderful supporter. And when she talks about cheerleading and supporting others, she really is a woman of her word. And so we welcome her with open arms every time to the collective, because she really is extraordinary. Grace, I'm coming to you. I'm not sure if you're able to speak. Yes, you are. She is. Yeah. Who are you? Hello. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you looking to take away?
I'm Grace Copeland, lovely to meet everyone. I work in film and entertainment. I've spent the last few years managing the Harry Potter franchise internationally for Warner Brothers. And I love storytelling. I'm very passionate about it. And I'm really interested to hear other women's stories today, particularly around confidence. Because I think as women, we have a big journey to go on. There's so many hoops we need to jump through. And I think in the personal lives, professional lives, for me, my confidence isn't the same in each arena either. So any skills, I guess, or tips and tools to help grow confidence in certain areas, or to transfer confidence, actually. Because I think in some cases we do actually have the confidence there. We're just almost not brave enough to tap into it. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to today, Lucienne, but really just honestly looking forward to kind of hearing other women's experience of this, because I think it's a really interesting topic for us.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, Grace. Transferal of confidence, a really interesting topic, which I'm going to be talking about, and hearing other people's experiences. It's great to have you with us. Always a pleasure to have Grace here. I absolutely love and adore her. If you could check her out, that would be great. Marie-Laurence, it's fabulous to have you here. If you could introduce yourself, what you do, and what you're hoping to take away. Marie-Laurence, if you can speak, just click the mic button. I know that you're fairly new.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry about that.
Go for it, Marie-Laurence. The mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I love the confidence topic because in my job, I've set up a nursery school 25 years ago, and I've noticed that confidence comes from a very, very early age. And so it's super important to listen to the needs of the child, to answer to their needs. And now I have a nanny agency, which is always also very linked to the Nanny Academy. So confidence, I would say that love yourself and believe in yourself, but obviously it's very easy to say. And there is a lot of tools nowadays to help the person to get to that level of confidence. And this is part of my job, because I really want people to be confident and love themselves. So, and thanks to Lucienne, we can reach there. This is what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Marie-Laurence. Absolutely brilliant. Lovely to have you here, as always. Always a pleasure. Marie-Laurence runs one of the most prestigious nanny agencies and nanny academies in the UK, based in Kensington, and I'm very honoured to have her on the stage, and she's a wonderful client. So please do pick her brain. She's a great human being. Her and I also went through very similar training on my first journey of coach accreditation. So she really is a diamond. Elaine, I don't know if you can speak, but it would be great to come to you. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you hoping to take away?
Hi, Lucia. Thank you so much for having me on the stage. I can speak. I always love your rooms anyway. I'm so glad to see them back again. So I'm Elaine Cunningham-Walker. I am featured and multi-award-winning CEO of a global marketing agency called GMA Group, which stands for Good Morning Africa. Also have a educational consultancy which makes sure that children from underrepresented communities go to the right schools, have the right networks, and go on to the right universities, or whatever it is that they excel at, so that they can become the leaders of the next generation. I am looking for women in particular who feel like they have been rubbish by things, so their confidence has been knocked, but they're looking to get their confidence back up. And everybody who knows me knows that I'm really confident, but I did have my confidence knocked at the end of last year, sort of like the middle of last year, going towards the end, and it's been hard for me to build it back up and ask myself, am I worthy? And even though I've lost bags of weight and I look amazing, I still lacked confidence and I didn't understand why. So yeah, I want to learn from a lot of women in this room. So yeah, I'm speaking. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you for being here. Always a pleasure. I've loved seeing your evolution as well. And Elaine just has such a brilliant energy that she brings. So very, very welcome in the room as ever. And then we're going to come to Melissa, another brilliant champion and supporter of what we do. Melissa, who are you? What do you do? And what are you looking to learn today?
Thanks, Lucienne, and wow, yes, extraordinary women right here, and lovely to be amongst you. So I am Melissa Curran. I'm the CEO and founder of the Modern Mind Group, and I am emotioneering human performance and not engineering it. I work with corporate teams in service-based industries to really emotioneer record-breaking results and bring the relationships and the results together so that they can really move forward and get a competitive edge. I'm here today to take away some inspiration and courage for myself whilst I work to usually help others on their journey to confidence. I'm doing something new at the moment. I'm writing a book and second guessing some of the stories that go in there, whether I should be writing them, whether I should change them, whether I should put different ones out, is currently where I'm at. So I'm hoping to take some inspiration and courage from you lot today to help me on that journey. So thank you. Lovely to be here.
Brilliant stuff, and what a lovely lot of people we've got in the room. And I'd like to say a hello to Dahlia, Danielle, Malika, Mary, Raquel, Tiana, Firdus, and Marie, and Shannon and Angela are here as well, which is absolutely brilliant. And we will come to all of you as we go through the hour, but I want to make sure that I'm going to give some real value now in what I know about confidence. So I've studied this for quite a long time at a very high level. I began a PhD in coaching and mentoring a couple of years ago, which I put on hold, but that doesn't mean that I've stopped learning. So I've still been learning. I'm growing the business, and then the intention is to step back into the PhD. I was beginning to observe and going into organizations to look at women in the corporate world and to look at the limiting factors that women have and create hope and actual factual systemic differences for corporate organizations to make sure that those environments, those buildings, those companies were actually more inclusive to all people rather than just what we have seen, what it's been created by and for, which was the middle tier white male, which is, you know, it's worked for capitalism for some time, but it's not going to work for much longer. And we need to make sure that those environments really support women and bring women in, not just women, but people of any gender. And so obviously COVID happened and I couldn't get into those organisations to do the research that was required for my thesis. So I stepped back. And what I found by stepping back is that I was relying on the rubber stamp and the seal of approval from academic institutions, from my school, from my teachers, from my mother, from my father, maybe not so much, from my grandparents, for my whole life. And I needed to learn how to give myself approval. And when I stepped away from the PhD, it's probably one of the most liberating things that I've ever done, where I've actually gone, I'm filling a hole here. I'm filling a hole by coming to this Oxford Brookes, it's at where I want to do the PhD. I'm filling a hole by going there, believing that it's going to form all the puzzle pieces and put it all together and make me whole. Well, the fact of the matter is, when you come to something with a lacking piece, with a piece that's missing, the external side of things is not going to fill that hole, because there's always going to be a gap. You're always going to need to move on. So the first thing that I would love everybody to write down is that confidence is something that you have to grow from within. Unfortunately, nobody can give it to you. Nobody can give you a bottle that you can drink that you can then just suddenly become more confident with. It's just not possible. And doing a lot of the psychological research behind this, working on the brain with this is about building a confidence infrastructure. So I'm going to be sharing all of that with you, and I'm going to be taking your questions this morning. So you're going to come away having learned a lot about confidence, I hope. Any further questions you've got, please do send them in. Rayanna's about to do a reset of the room, and then we will really get stuck into this. Rayanna, once you've done that, if you wouldn't mind popping the link up above, because I do have a free resource which is proving to be really valuable around what is holding you back from growing a business that you love. And I have found that confidence is such a huge part of what is holding so many women back. So I'm going to hand to Rayanna. I hope you can all sit comfortably. Make sure you've got a pen, a piece of paper, maybe a cup of tea whilst you listen to the reset, and then we're going to go for it full blast. Over to you, Rayanna.
Thank you, Lucian. If I can't mute myself at the end, please can you do it for me? Something's just gone wrong with my screen.
Of course, of course.
Thank you. You are in the CEW Club, which stands for the Collective of Extraordinary Women, being brought to you by Master Accredited Female Empowerment Specialist Coach Lucian Shakir and me, the Community Empowerment Manager, Rayanna Wright. This room is being recorded, so as well as being here live in Clubhouse, the room is live streamed to LinkedIn and Instagram. Woohoo! You can find us here every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and you can make sure you never miss the room by giving the club a follow simply by clicking on the little green house next to the room title. You can keep up to date with what's going on in the collective on Facebook and Instagram by searching at the.c.e.w. Plus, you can follow Lucian across social media platforms such as Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Facebook by searching at Lucian Coaching, or by subscribing to her podcast, That's What She Said. At the top of the room, in just a moment, you will find a strategy quiz and support guide that helps you to deep dive into finding out what's stopping you from growing a business you love, along with actionable steps tailored to your needs. We are a female empowerment driven club and we love to welcome new voices up to the stage, but we can only invite you up if you have a profile picture, something in your bio, and an active link to your Instagram or Twitter account. We also love to welcome our male allies onto stage, and we respectfully request that any shares are in support of the women you hear speaking on stage and that you keep your shares to a short 30 seconds. When you're invited up to stage, your mic is automatically open, so please make sure you click to mute straight away until it's your turn to speak so that the conversation can continue to flow. Okay, the room set is complete. Back over to you, Lucian.
Oh, I just love your dulcet tones. I just love it. You're just such a pro, Rayanna, and you said to mute you and I didn't, so I'm going to do it now. There we go. Except there we go. We've done it. Okay, so that's your room reset done. I hope you're sitting comfortably because I'm about to share 10 minutes of information for you in a way that I hope can inspire you to ask some questions of yourself and of what you've seen and what you've experienced and where you want to go in the future. So the first thing that I would love for you to know is that confidence is not something that you are born with. There is no gene for confidence, and there is no one person who is more confident than another. And a mistake that we make, because as human beings, we are quite simple. I mean, yes, we're quite advanced when it comes to technology and how we engage with the minerals and the things at our disposal in the world. I mean, just look at the mobile phones that we've created, which use crystals from, you know, all over the world. We are pretty good at that kind of stuff, but we are actually not that much more evolved intellectually than we were 50,000 years ago. And so what's important to know is that when a person is born, there is no other factor that brings you along the start line further in your gene pool. It is simply the experiences, the people around you, the ability to do different things, try different things, fail and try again, having a support network, being able to speak to yourself and reflect in a way that's really constructive, that makes you more confident in certain areas than in others. And no matter who you look up to, and I know this from working with some of the most prestigious women in the country, some of the most brilliant business owners who are female, no matter who you look at, behind closed doors, no matter what the perception is, there is always some form of lacking in confidence. And isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? Just flash your mics if you think that that is actually quite a sad thing. Yeah, absolutely. So I've got the red bar of doom, but I hope you can hear me okay. Confidence is not something that you're born with. You have to grow it. So the first thing that I would love everybody to do right now, and we're going to tap into a little bit of coaching, a little bit of self-coaching, is to grab a piece of paper, and on one side of your piece of paper, I'd like you to write down where you feel confident. And on the other side of paper, I want you to write down where you don't feel particularly confident. So you're going to be doing this now. You're going to grab a piece of paper. Don't just pay lip service to this. Don't come here and listen and then not do anything, because honestly, this stuff is transformative. I'm sharing with you stuff that I share with clients who pay an awful lot of money. Just because it's free and it's here doesn't mean it's not worth as much. So on the left-hand side, where you are confident already, where you feel confident, and on the right-hand side, where you don't feel so confident. And I will share with you that whilst you're doing this, whilst you're thinking about this, I'll slow things down a little bit so that you can write. I've lived with something called facial dysmorphia all my life, and quite honestly, I'm now at a point where I can step beyond the facial dysmorphia. I can look into a camera, I can put my face across to people, and I'm not scared that someone will vomit in horror because I'm so ugly. I mean, these are the things that I used to think of myself, and it's just so debilitating. Today, I have grown confidence to stand in front of a camera, to show my face, to speak to people that I don't know, who have the ability to judge me and to speak about me. And I've done that through persistent and consistent action, because I've known that I have to for the future of my business. So as you're writing your list now, with on the left-hand side, a couple of things that you feel particularly confident in, and on the other side, a few areas where you know that you can build confidence. I want you to look at the right-hand column, and I want you to ask yourself, where is that holding you back in your business right now? What direct impact is not working on your confidence going to have on the longer term growth of your business, on your happiness in life? Not that the two are inextricably linked, by the way, but what is it in those things where you are lacking in confidence that is going to impact the success of your journey? And the one that scares you the most, maybe it's speaking your opinion. Maybe it's showing up on camera. Maybe it's telling somebody that you've worked with for years that you no longer want to partner with them. Maybe it's branching into a new area of business that you've never been in before. The one that scares you the most is the one that you must start working on now. Because when you start working on this one big thing, everything else follows. It's exactly the same as the goal setting masterclass that I did. When you have one big goal and you work towards that, isn't it incredible that the other things that you want to achieve tend to build and grow because you are working towards that one big goal? So just flash your mics on screen if you have. You don't have to share it right now, but if you have found something that you are really conscious that you need to build your confidence in, amazing, and you know that it is holding you back, I love it. Look at everyone that's joined. Amazing to see Sajel, Rebecca, Angela, Freya, and Holly. Hello, lovely to have you here. Okay, awesome stuff. So that one thing, you're going to write it down, and this is going to be something that you need to really work on. It needs to make you feel sick to your stomach that it frightens you that much. And this is where moving out of your comfort zone and challenging yourself is true growth. And this is how I want to show you how you build your confidence. You take the scariest thing that you can imagine doing and you dilute that as much as you possibly can. So for me, going live on camera was the scariest thing that I could possibly imagine. I kid you not, folks. I joke not. When I would, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I would much rather walk down my street naked with no cameras, but just walk down my street with no clothes on than sit in front of a camera and speak with my face close to the camera lens. That is how serious this is. Okay. So I'm telling you that I've worked through this and I know what works. So you need to find the thing that is a diluted version. So for me, being live on LinkedIn, on Instagram, doing videos was the most petrifying thing that I could imagine doing. My brain had created a belief system that had embedded itself in my neural pathways, and it was stopping me. So how can I dilute that? How can I not go to the very extreme of just going live straight away and feeling really anxious and sick and losing lots of nights of sleep beforehand? And how can I dilute that a little bit? What would I do to step into it, to take some action that isn't massive action that could potentially really freak me out? Well, I could start sending video messages to my friends instead of texting them. And that's what I decided to do. And this was about 5 years ago, before I was in business. I identified through therapy that this is something that I needed to work on. So I want you now to find, and if you feel brave enough to share what this is, you are more than welcome to flash your mic and come to you. And we will come to you. The most scary thing that you can imagine, and then dialing the notch back and thinking of something creative that gets your toe in the water. That's what we want. We want to get your toe in the water. Is there anybody who is brave enough to share? I'm looking up and down. So Malika, I love you so much. Coming to you, Malika.
Hello, Lucia. So it was a very nice question for me. And so I identified that I'm more confident when I speak alone, but when I go and speak publicly, I'm really not feeling confident.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, that I feel, what's the word? I wrote it down. It's the scariest things that I would ever imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the scariest thing that you could ever imagine is speaking publicly on stage, Malika?
on the stage that will be the worst. Now I'm trying to put my toes in the water, as you say, trying to speak in spaces in Twitter and in Clubhouse. I'm trying to get relaxed speaking to massive people or a number of people. The reason that this thing happened, I didn't have this before, but during my PhD study, I spent 6 years between my lab and my office, and I just cut off from people. And now I find it difficult to get engaged again.
Excellent. Right. I just love it. I love how you internalize this stuff, Malika, and you actually take action. So for Malika, and like many people around the world, actually, one of their biggest fears is public speaking. Standing on stage is one of the things that they might find really difficult. Malika, it's weird, isn't it? Because I have this thing with my face, but I would happily prance about on stage. Like no problem whatsoever. We are such strange people. We really are. We have given ourselves beliefs that are so odd. But simply by coming up onto stage, by unmuting your mic and by speaking to us today, you are not only putting a toe in the water, you're putting your whole leg in. And the more often you do that to successful outcome, and this is really important, so write this down. You need to do the dial down thing often enough to a successful outcome that you have determined is successful. So I can say to Malika, oh, you're amazing. That was a brilliant share. You're so brilliant at speaking on stage in Clubhouse. But unless she believes it to be true herself, she is not going to make progress. So you have to find, by doing that, by dipping your leg in, by dipping your leg in the water, you have to now tell yourself, Malika, going away from today's room, why do you believe that that was such a brilliant thing to do? And each time you do that, you are creating a justification and a rationale for you stepping out of your comfort zone and growing your confidence. So Malika, how many more times can you do that before you then go, next thing, I'm going to speak on the stage with nobody that I know on Clubhouse. Then maybe I'm going to do a live into Instagram or whatever your next step is. And each time you build up a complete evidence set for yourself that you can do it. And you are building that in your own beliefs. Malika, does that make sense? What's your next step, do you think?
Yes, it does. I don't know really. I'm still hesitating when I speak in Clubhouse and in Twitter. The thing I always worry that I say something that makes someone feel uncomfortable, and that really hurts me. So I really think too much about what I say. I mean, I feel more relaxed to speak in your rooms because I know you can back me up if I something go wrong.
Okay, so you've created a safety blanket for yourself. So what we now need to do is we now need to start taking that safety blanket away. So everybody here in this room now, you've written down the thing that scares you. I mean, Melissa is releasing a book this year. That's petrifying to me. I've held that back for a long time, but this year I have to write my book. Melissa, I can only imagine what you're going through. But what little steps do you need to take? Because sometimes in our books, there are stories about people that we know. What steps can we begin to take to dip our toes into the water to make that more comfortable? Because guaranteed in 3 years' time, when Melissa is a #1 bestseller, which she will be, she won't even remember what it felt like to be scared about writing down parts of that story. Melissa, you're flashing. I'll come to you.
Thanks. I was celebrating. I was like, yeah, 3 years from now. And you know what? Sometimes that happens with my podcast. Sometimes I record an episode and someone will say something back to me, and I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was in my podcast. And you sort of create this journey and you realise that it's out there in the public domain. So I suppose some of the small steps, the podcast is definitely one of those. The other one is sharing on stories or starting to share things that are a little bit more personal in social media posts. So they're not just maybe learning or academically based. They're actually stories about real events, things that have happened and things that I do. And And that starts to give a little bit of credibility to it. And in September last year, was it last year? Oh my gosh, no, it was in 2020. I decided to write an article every single day for the whole month of September. One, because it was going to help my SEO for my website, but also because it then got me into that consistency of sharing and putting little bits of real life stories in, but then, you know, adding the kind of research and development around it. And it was pretty tough to do that. But I like you said, those steps have got me to a place now where I'm like, yes, this book has to happen. Why does it have to happen? Because it's pivotal to everything else that I'm doing in the business. So yeah, a great point. And thank you for making me reflect on that. And maybe my share has helped some people on the stage here today as well.
Of course, it always does, Melissa. Absolutely brilliant. And please do flash if you want to share, or message myself or Rayanna if you want to share as well. And if not, right now, I'm going to take you through a coaching activity, which I've done with you all before, and it's really useful. And I'd love to do it with you again today. This is truly transformational stuff, and the more you put into this, the more you get back. So excuse me for doing something that I've done before with you all, but honestly, the more times we do this, the better we become, the more reflective and action taking we become, and it's very important for us to do as such. Julie, it's lovely to see you in the room. Great to have you here. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take a moment to close your eyes wherever you are. Maybe you can't do that right now, but just remember what this process is if you can't do this. To close your eyes right now and to imagine yourself, and like I say, we've done this before, sitting on the floor as a young child. And we're talking somewhere between the ages of 7 and 10. And if this place is an uncomfortable place to be, if you feel scared, if this takes you back to memories where perhaps you were in an abusive family and you don't want to be there, put yourself somewhere safe where you can sit and where you haven't got bad memories happening around you. And just remember, you're an adult woman now. You're in complete control. Taking yourself back to that time and sitting on that floor, just notice where the windows are in the room. Can you remember the carpet under your feet or the floorboards? Can you remember where the TV was, if there was a TV, the fireplace? Can you remember if it was warm or cold? And was there a particular item of clothing that you used to wear? And sat there, you're going to imagine the buckets. It's our good old friend, the buckets again. And you're going to imagine a number of buckets this time in front of you, not just one bucket. And a number of buckets in front of you that have got different labels on. Maybe going out with friends, hanging out with people from school, maybe going to school was something that you really enjoyed. Maybe you loved drawing and people told you that your artwork was amazing. Not me, by the way. I'm terrible. I can't even draw a face. Mind you, faces are quite difficult to draw, but I'm talking stickman faces. I can't even draw those. Maybe it was a bucket that was connection. Maybe you spoke to lots of adults and you were happy speaking to adults. I just want you to think about all the different buckets that you had that felt good, the different life experiences that you were allowed to create that filled up. And just imagine every time that you did something that gave you that internal validation that you gave to yourself. Remember, this is not coming from other people. You believed you were good at drawing. You believed you were good at scaling trees, which I was, by the way. I was well good at climbing trees. Taking that moment to imagine pebbles or water filling up these buckets. And these buckets having loads of pebbles or water or marbles or whatever you want to put in them to represent the experiences, the positive experience. Some of them having a little bit less, but still being pretty heavy and full with those good experiences. And if you are a person on this stage right now or watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, and you can see many buckets in front of you, that overflow with pebbles and water, this is where your confidence translates, just as Melissa was saying earlier on, into other areas of your life. So if, as a child, you were given the rich experience of feeling like you were great at lots of things, it's much more likely that you will take to practicing new things with a little more confidence than somebody else. If you can only think of 1 or 2 buckets, because that's how you're feeling right now, or if you know somebody who had a particularly difficult childhood and their environment didn't allow them to nurture themselves and grow in their self-esteem, it's much harder for those people to create confidence in other areas of their lives. But that is exactly what you have to do. You all here today need to understand which buckets you have, and we call these your strengths. And in strengths-based coaching, we double down on this stuff and we use it to fill up the other confidence buckets. And if you are a person who doesn't have many buckets that are full with rich experiences, it is now your job as an adult, as the person who orchestrates their own life. It's nobody else's job to create this for you, to decide which buckets you are going to fill. So dovetailing from the activity that we did at the beginning of the room, where you wrote down on the right-hand side of your page all of those things that you found difficult, that made you feel queasy, I want you now to imagine that as a bucket and ask yourself how you can begin filling the bucket. And I've given you a couple of analogies: dipping your toe in the water, dipping your leg in the water. And this is what I would love everybody to go away with, because I am so sorry. I am so truly, deeply sorry that I cannot wave a magic wand and make all of those difficulties disappear for you. As Grace said, as women, we have a lot more work to do. It's very difficult as a woman. The amount of studies, scientific, peer-reviewed research that shows that women's confidence generally is a lot less than a man's means that we've got a bit more work to do. Okay. Right, it's 1:45, which means we've got 15 minutes of chat, and I would love to hear from absolutely anybody on the stage about anything that they're learning, taking away, or doing from what they have heard in today's session. So I'm going to ask you to flash your mics. Raquel, I'm going to come to you first.
Thank you so very much, Lucienne. This was such an amazing experience for me. I had been struggling with confidence in a couple of different areas, and by writing those areas down, I was able to put a visual to them, and then be able to look at that. Putting them on paper made me realize that, one, I can actually overcome them, and that by taking smaller steps, instead of thinking that it was one big, huge bucket of a lot of different things that are so overwhelming that I cannot accomplish, and I can take my time. And so when you put me in that little girl mode, I was able to just kind of look at, how would I look at this as a little girl? And it would be one step at a time. It was like learning all over again, and not rushing myself, and just loving myself through it, and just being happy about being able to accomplish it. So I just want to thank you so very much for that.
Raquel, thank you so much. And if you can see me on LinkedIn or on YouTube, I'm a little bit emotional because I felt a sudden urge to to really take in the fact that I'm looking at all of these brilliant women on screen who want to grow their confidence and being the agents of that growth. And Raquel, I'm so glad that you found us, and I'm so glad that I've heard you speaking, because that strength and that power that you've just displayed, we have planted seeds today. You speaking, people speaking on the stage today, we have planted seeds, and we take action from those seeds that are growing. And I want to thank you so much, everybody, for coming here and taking the time out of your day to learn something about yourself and to make that growth. I think it's fantastic. Raquel, so lovely to have you here. Thank you. Julie's flashing, coming to you, my love.
Hi, Lucy, and hi, everybody. Sorry I was late to the room. I've been on a webinar until 1:30, so I've only managed to catch the last bit. But I love the bucket exercise just now, because that's just really touched a raw nerve for me. It actually made me realise how little I appreciated myself when I was younger. So I've got to exercise to go back and rework on my confidence on that basis.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say how much I've enjoyed, working with you, and you've really built my confidence up. And something that Melissa has said, and it's basically an adaptation of a Winston Churchill quote, where she says, "Fear is a reaction, courage is a decision." That's Winston Churchill, but confidence is the outcome. And I shared with the collective last week that I had a really good week. And the reason that was because so many things fell into place, and I actually secured my first independent client last week, and that was my kind of real high.
Julie, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you.
That was like I'm crying now, because it was such a moment when she said, "Yes, Julie, I'm really excited. When can I start?" And that was really, and I really threw together what it was I was doing for her. And so from that experience last week, my confidence has really grown. And this thank you to everybody in this room and around me at the moment that has really helped me for that. So, and it definitely is. I mean, every day I just ask myself when I'm being hesitant about something, it's like, why am I holding myself back? Is it just procrastination? I just try and make myself take that step forward and stop procrastinating. I'm just forcing myself to make that step forward and just swallow it and just move forward. So that's really helped me, is actually just taking action is creating confidence. That's me. Thank you, Lucienne.
Julie, I'm done. That's it. I'm done. Completely and utterly railroaded. I'm so happy for you. I know that the journey that you've been on, and as such a highly qualified, intelligent woman who brings so much to the work that she does, it was criminal it's just criminal when I see women like you who feel a lacking in confidence, and then to hear that you've had something so brilliant happen. And this is the first of many. This is the absolute first of many. So Julie, take the time now to really reflect on what happened that brought you to that place, to that successful outcome, and reflect on how you can make that happen again, how you can tap into that energy, because now that it's happened once, you can absolutely bet your bottom dollar that is going to happen again. It's just how quickly can we make it happen, and how much are you prepared to sit in that energy of valuing yourself and what you bring to the world. So thank you, Julie. And Julie is such a brilliant person, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing that. That's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. I know that Sejal is a confidence coach, and I know that this is something that she specializes in. So Sejal, I just wanted to I saw you flashing earlier on, but I wanted to come to you because I know that you're a specialist in this area. Is there anything that you wanted to add? Are you there? I know that I've just picked on you. There we go.
Yeah, I was actually going to add to what you were saying, and that exercise we did about the buckets. I thought that was absolutely fabulous. I think what's just hearing you speak and sharing about, kind of what you do in your coaching, and, all the kind of research you've done, I think what comes to mind, and it goes back to basics, is how much of our confidence is from the way we judge ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And how much we kind of don't show compassion for ourselves and, allow ourselves to grow. And I think part of confidence is allowing yourself to fail, to make mistakes, but also learning from that and not beating yourself up about it as well. So I think for me, it was more about
you know, when you were sharing and saying all those things, it was about how much we judge ourselves in different areas of our life. And the reason we're not confident is because we're probably judging ourselves, and we're probably beating ourselves up about things that we did and the mistakes that we made and stuff. So I think for me, it definitely was, oh, okay, you know, where in my life am I judging myself, and where am I not kind of growing? And, you know, because if you can't have that self-awareness and you can't have that compassion for yourself, it's really hard to be or grow confidence. So I think the first thing is to kind of love yourself that little bit deeper, but also allow yourselves to make that mistake and judge yourself less as well. So yeah, that's what came to light when you were sharing. Thanks.
Brilliant share there from Sejal, and I absolutely love the work that she does, so please do go and check her out. It's always great to hear from you, Sejal. And you know, this experience of growing confidence is something that we have to actively participate in. And I was speaking to a client earlier today who was quite emotional, really, and we reminded one another that it is so easy to be our own worst enemy. Going back to what you were just saying, and why not try being our own best friend for a bit? Why not give ourselves the credit that we deserve? And as we go to bed at night, maybe take the time to write down in your journals or in your reflections, which I highly recommend you all do, by the way. I'm great at being my own worst enemy. I want to be greater at being my own best friend. And this is what I would say to myself as my own best friend. And this is something I need to do too. This is something I need to do regularly. We all need to do it, that self-compassion. And thank you, Sejal, for raising that and bringing that awareness to us. Flash your mics if you'd like to share. I'm looking up and down the screen. Fergus, I'd love to hear from you. And we've got Mary and Addy as well. So Fergus, coming to you.
Thank you so much, Isne, for having me up here. Really, really interesting topic. Actually, this is something that I was thinking about yesterday. I had a meeting with this amazing, lovely woman, and she kind of asked me what I was doing, kind of starting a little business, but kind of not sure what I'm doing. So when she asked me questions, it really put my confidence down. And I left that meeting thinking, the world is, my oyster. I can do so many things. But deep down, I felt really low, and I couldn't explain why. And I kind of got my little journal and started writing. And what I realized was actually it was stemming from being questioned and not knowing exactly what I wanted to do. And I was trying to figure it out. And I didn't give myself that thing of, yes, you are learning. You are in this process to learn. And, don't expect to know everything. Yes, this person is an expert in they feel, hence why they're asking you so many questions. So just to be kind to ourselves that sometimes we don't know everything, and we that's the exciting part of learning. So I had to literally speak to myself and kind of look back where all of this has stemmed from. And for me, being here actually allowed me to kind of think, where is this coming from? Is me speaking publicly and not knowing what I'm meant to be saying, and kind of being in a field where I knew everything that I was doing to in a new field where I'm learning a lot of things, and just trying to be kind to myself. And I think we all really, like I think it was mentioned by Sejal, that we need to be kind to ourselves, and just say to yourself, it's okay that you don't know. You are in the process, and you will get there, and you will know it all when you kind of went through that journey. Just want to say that, and I really love this room. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Fergus. We're here every week on a Wednesday from 1:00 every single week. We have a community. So the work that I do is the collective of extraordinary women, and those who are moderated on stage are either members or affiliates of that group. And I would just say to what you were sharing then, which, by the way, thank you for sharing, because it's quite a vulnerable share as well. The first thing that we need to know is that it is not possible to know everything. I think that's the first thing to know when it comes to that, Cher. It is simply not possible to know everything. And to believe that we know everything about a subject is incredibly naive. So that's the first thing that I would take away. And the second thing that I would take, or that I would like to share with you all, is one of the most powerful board women that I have worked with, where I had the absolute honour of sitting in their headquarters in London around the table with some of the most influential people in commerce in the UK. I sat with her as her coach, observing the room. I was brought in to work on the team dynamics and the communication flow within the board group. When she was asked a question, as the most senior person in that room, a lot of men in that room too, who, were probably unhappy, although I'm making an assumption here that she had won the position. She was an external candidate and she'd won the position. Somebody asked her a question and her answer was, I don't know. And it was the most powerful moment I have ever seen in a room with the people of that caliber. And I say the word caliber with kind of through gritted teeth, because we're all very, very important people, no matter how much money we earn or where we are around the board table. But that stoicism and that ability to say, I don't know, but I have every faith that I have the ability, the resources, the teams, the money, the infrastructure to find out the answer, is so powerful you would not believe. So I'm going to challenge you all. I hadn't prepared this, but why not? I'm going to challenge everybody here in a conversation with someone maybe that they look up to, because this will hold more weight. If they ask a question where you don't know the answer, I challenge you to say, I don't know, and not say anything else afterwards, and just see what happens, because it is truly, truly powerful. And that shows real confidence. So I love that, Fergus. I'd forgotten about that. So thank you for reminding me of it. I think I said I'd come to Mary. Mary, did you want to share?
Congratulations to Julie. That's such great news, Julie.
Yeah.
Share that. Also, the exercise was phenomenal. About sitting in the bucket, and I actually went outside, so I found that kind of interesting. It made me reflect on something. So I was sitting in the grass and in the open air, but I did grow up in a small town in Ontario, Canada. So that's probably why. But I was very, very confident as a child, and my buckets were overflowing. And I think because I did have that clear openness mind as a child, and I just felt very confident. And I feel as I've got older, I probably have less confidence than I did as a child. So it just brought me back to think, what do I need to do? And probably being outside and freeing my mind a little bit more and not cluttering it up so much can help me throughout stages. I still feel pretty confident most of the time. Few buckets obviously need to work on, but it just brought me back to being a child, and I really appreciate that exercise. I just wanted to share that. So thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mary. And I'm aware that Addie wanted to share, but I do have to close the room at 2:00 because I have a client waiting. So what I would say is, Addie, I would love to hear your share next week on Wednesday at 1:00. I'm so sorry that we didn't get around to that. You have all been brilliant. Just showing up and being part of this is incredible. Next week, I am inviting the Collective of Extraordinary Women. If you want to, only if you want to, start stretching even further out of your comfort zone, to join me on the live feed. So you have the opportunity to be visible with me on screen if you want to. We're showcasing business. I loved it. We have a no selling policy within the collective. We like it to be a really safe place, but given the connections that I have, the people who I work with, I think it is only fair that you guys are seen alongside me, and that we build your businesses and your communities for you too. So if you would like to, within the collective, please do join me on camera next week, where you can ask questions, or at the beginning where you introduce yourself or your business, I can bring you in and on screen. If you go and look over at LinkedIn, you'll see me talking. That's where you would be, just next to me. So feel free to take that opportunity if you want to. If not, don't worry about it. It's absolutely fine. Folks, you have been learning about confidence today. We've planted some seeds for you. You are phenomenal. Rayanna, thank you as always for being my wing woman. Thank you, Collective, for being phenomenal. A huge congratulations to Julie. There is no doubt that the next one will come rolling in soon. You are an absolute legend. I will see you all again next week at 1 o'clock talking about a different topic, and it will be just as juicy, and I will see you all there. Rayanna, anything from you?
No, nothing from me, just a big goodbye and see you next week.
See you all next week. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.